All right, Joanna, we're good? All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome today. I'm sure we all have different reasons to be here, and I've talked to some of you. If you yourself do not have a kid, you probably know one. So, or maybe you have, grandchildren or, yeah. This stuff is, it's really impacting kids, but it's also something that I think we can like all consider, in sort of, the state that our social media and our information technology world is at. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit more philosophy, a little more, talking about things in the bigger picture. And then, like Rebecca said, Mitch will kind of get down on like, this is what this called, this is what you got to do. So just for some information, computer and information literacy and computational thinking scores are globally declining, but the US is the dark blue and the dark red. And so you can see those like slopes are steeper. So we are, and this is between 2018 and 2023, and I would aim to bet that we are continuing to head down. So I think one of the reasons why this is because exposure is not equitable to learning how to use this stuff. And there's a misconception, and this has affected kids in terms of like schooling, that just being born in the era of smartphones means that they'll just sort of have an intuitive relationship with them and just know how to use them. We always say like, oh, the young kids, like they get tech, and just sort of think like they know what they're doing, and they're not. It's leading to them being taught how to do it less, and then they actually know how to do it less. And so there is a decrease in literacy with younger kids. Millennials are actually probably the most tech literate. Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
So that age, but and I think the majority of us are millennials up here. Am I right in saying that?
Sure.
I mean, we had like tech class in a way that I don't hear kids talking about having it anymore.
When I was growing up.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. Now a lot of schools have implemented, I think in New Hampshire, like no cell phones in high schools, or sometimes with parents you can think like, okay, well the way I'm gonna like address this is like I'm not gonna give my kid a phone. And this is like similar in my opinion to like not letting your kid have junk food in the house. Like you can control what's going on like in your house, but the amount of kids that your kid is friends with that have phones, the amount of households they're going to visit that have laptops or iPads or things like that. And this anecdote I think is relevant. I had a friend who had a no junk food house when I was growing up, and we would go to like other friends' houses in the neighborhoods, and the parents would be like, "Oh, like, can we get you guys anything?" And this kid would be like, "Give me everything you got." Like he would, like be like just like gorging on like ice cream and Oreos and like soda and like all this stuff. And so it's like an outright ban doesn't give kids the tools. And obviously then he's going to gorge, he's going to have a stomach ache or throw up or something, right? He's going to get sick. So we have to have a more, engaged approach when it comes to helping kids learn how to use technology. And that sometimes means that like we have to learn how to use it so we can teach them how to use it, because we're not always sure. So media literacy is an umbrella term. Some of the skills that you teach kids or people when it comes to being media literate, like what it means to be media literate, these are a couple of things. So being mindful about your screen usage, navigating sensationalist algorithms and polarization. So, when you're on the internet, being able to identify, oh, this article, the way this is phrased is trying to get a rise out of me right now. Being able to notice that instead of being immediately gripped by it and then sending it to every single person that you know and being like, oh no, learning how to avoid scams and exploitation, which I think you'll talk about a bit, Mitch. Reflecting on the financial motives for content. So, advertisement is getting more and more like unclear. We used to just watch commercials, right? You knew it was an ad like the whole time. But especially kids, they can be scrolling and they might not even know that they're being sold things. Learning how to cross-check info about health and news, and learning about keeping your data safe and private. So these are all skills that like are, and they're not necessarily being like heavily emphasized in school right now because they're not easily one of the like main subjects, it would fall in English class. And so English teachers and history teachers, I think, it could be anywhere. There should be a media component in every subject, but depending on the school, it may or may not be happening. The last thing I want to talk about is the like 5 M's of digital wellness, which I really like. This is from the Boston Children's Digital Wellness Lab, and it gives some really concrete advice for parents, or, again, anyone that is involved in helping guide children, or especially teens and tweens, who are navigating the internet. So the first tip is like model. So you yourself have to set a good example with your own cell phone use and your own screen use. They're, looking at you, and looking at what you're doing. So, and that doesn't mean not using it at all, but some advice is like creating device-free zones. So, no phones at the table, no phones after a certain time of night, no screens in the bedroom. And if you're having your kids do that, and we can't maybe necessarily have our phones on in our rooms, but like we maybe don't want to be doing that as well and modeling alternatives. Like, so that's one. Promote and demonstrate respectful online communication. So that means like, if you're getting in a bunch of online arguments on the group Facebook page, like that's sort of setting an example for your kid. And being mindful of sharing personal information and or photographs. I think this is really important, but like before posting about your kids or of your kids, especially if they're of an age where they can talk, like asking them if it's okay before you do. Like, are you okay if I post this picture of us? Like, oh, are you okay if I post a post about how you graduated middle school? Like, just like asking them for that consent, I think it demonstrates to them that they shouldn't be taking random like pictures of people and posting them about them without their consent as well. Which is a really big issue with kids. They're really terrified of being filmed all the time and being put up, and it's getting in the way of them. Like, I was asking some kids about a middle school dance, and they don't dance at the middle school dances because they're worried that people are going to film them dancing and put it up online, and so they all just like sit around the corner, and like it's just like, yeah, everyone having a super camera that they can then just like ping everything to. It creates like a very strong level of anxiety.
What is pain?
Or they can like,
I should say, excuse me, Mary.
no, it's okay. That's not the best word. I could say that I was a high school bully and just the kids existing over there, I could film them, I could make some mean comment and I could send it out and the whole school could see it in 2 minutes. So that's a very anxious way of being in school, The second advice is to mentor them. So that means introducing early digital awareness, meaningfully promoting safe social media use, and maintaining that open communication. So if something comes up that's confusing to them, they feel comfortable going like, I saw this on the internet, it confused me. Like, what is this? Like, what does this mean? And being able to feel like you can have that type of dynamic. And teaching them to recognize online threats and how to identify trusted adults versus adults that are not trustworthy. There is unfortunately also like a lot of predatory behavior on the internet, and predators. And so that's something that's important to teach kids about as well, and how to identify online adult predators. Monitoring is very important. So you should require login access to your kids' accounts. And you can have this conversation with them together, like what works for you or like in your specific relationship. But those agreements, like they should be as robust as like, the agreements about when they're allowed to hang out with their friends or how late they're allowed to stay out. Like, social media use should be as structured. And they should also friend you on all their social media accounts. Like you should be able to see them. And then the seek professional help slide is like, sometimes we're out of our depth. Like, and so sometimes we do need professional help and we need to get other people in to give, advice about how to deal with certain things. The next one is mastery, which means to empower agency and independence. So I think that this means that they can confidently and feel confident about interacting on the internet. This is something that they will have, this is a skill they're going to need in their lives. This isn't something that like I was using, I was part of the generation that they were really trying to get my generation to not smoke cigarettes, and it did work. I do not smoke cigarettes, but it's really easy to just be like, cigarettes are bad for you, don't smoke them. But with like technology, like you're going to have to learn to use it. You're going to apply to jobs with it. You're going to like stay connected to your family and friends with it. You're going to promote your business on it, so you do need to know how to use it and how to use it skillfully. And then finally, meaning. So there's a lot of positives that we can use technology for. I've had children have iPads and show me like all the digital art that they work on. I've had kids literally that are making animations, like movies, on their iPads. Encouraging active use means creating art with your tech, or, using it for learning or audiobooks, or, learning to code or whatever, instead of necessarily just like scrolling. Fostering those social connections, when I was a kid, we would meet up online for study groups sometimes, that's cool. That's a cool way to connect. And to balance screen time with physical activity and other things. But tech, it's complex. It's something that we're using, and we have to, think practically about it, and it can be scary, and there's new stuff every day. So it can be overwhelming to even know they have new stuff that they're saying all the time, and a new app that they're all on, and you're like, what's that? And again, that's why the library is here, right? Because we can help answer those questions and help families navigate, how to keep their kids safe and educated about navigating this big tech world. So that's the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Diana.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this is something we want to explore more at the library. So this is just kind of a initial thing that we're going to be doing. And so we're going to be working more.
yeah, if I could ask for a bit of feedback, do you think this is something that the town could benefit from, like learning a bit more about, our director was at the Lyceum over the weekend, and there were 3 senior girls that were talking about how they need help with how addicted they feel to social media, and they want help getting off of it, and they, don't know how.
They were amazing.
Yeah. At least you saw them.
I wasn't there, but someone told me last night they did a really great job
Yeah.
presenting.
They were
But he didn't say anything about what you just said.
I mean, I'm talking about it from the like parental perspective versus like the perspective of what it feels like to be a kid in it, I think. But
Thank God for virtual. I haven't been able to attend.
right, exactly. So that's sort of the thing, right? There are a lot of technology is nuanced, and it has a great amount of, ways that it's helped humanity, and then ways that it's harmed it. And so similar way to anything, right? Like we have to find that balance, and we have to have the tools and the skills so that we're empowered to use this instead of at its mercy in a way. So I'm hoping that we can continue to educate the town about that, in order to all of us can and be safer online, and yeah.
I think high school's too late. They need to start it in the elementary. Seriously, before they ever get to the congestion of middle school where it's all peer pressure.
Well, and you just hear, people are just like, again, I was a Facebook kid, and my parents knew nothing about it. So they didn't really have advice they could give me about how to deal with it, because they just didn't experience it. Or they would give me advice and it was just completely like wrong, because the biggest way I describe it is like, so say that you had a bad day at school when you were a kid, then you go home, and then everything's on pause until you get to school the next day. For kids now, it is 24/7. Like they are never not in, you're in that cafeteria and you're feeling anxious about, like whatever's going on. That feeling and that dynamic is just constant, because it's all, the cafeteria is on here now, so there's no moment where they go, oh.
And it's not just one app, it's
Yeah.
it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's whatever, platform kids are using to communicate that thing. So it's not just, oh, I just have to check Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
it's fine.
Once it gets beyond the schools, I see it with my daughter and son-in-law, when they get home from work, they're jumping on the computers, each on their own. And so gotta make that gap from the schools to the people who've already gone beyond. When
Yeah,
you're talking about within the community.
yeah, that's why it's helpful for everybody to think about it
Yeah.
and kind of examine their own kind of technology use, right?
The advice about having, screen-free zones or screen-free hours is good for everyone. And I had a patron come in the other day when we had the internet out, and they were looking to download some TV while they were here because they said they just don't even know what to do with themselves without internet access. So it's not just I think we like to think like, oh, it's the kids that are addicted to their phones. It's them that, like we're all very susceptible to it. I saw a video one time of a grandma making fun of her grandchildren for being on their phones all the time, and they said, "Give me your phone." And they pulled up there's data on your phone about how many hours you use your phone a week, and they pulled up her screen time hour data report, and she had logged like 100 hours on Candy Crush, which is a game. So we can be addicted to our phones in different ways. You might not be on social media, but you might have a hard time putting down an app that you're just really into using. Or even my mom had to stop. This is even bad. She was like doing all the New York Times, like the Wordle, the crossword, like all that stuff. But she was noticing she was getting up right in the morning and going right to doing that. And she was like, I need to take a walk first, So it's all about like that tech health and hygiene and reconsidering all of that. But yes, thank you for listening to my presentation. I will move things on over to Mitch.
I hated Word in the newspapers, but I do it on my phone.
Yep. And again, Wordle is so fun. I'm not sitting here saying we can't do Wordle. We love Wordle.
What is that?
Or Wordle. It's like a
New York
New York
Times,
Times
yeah.
like word game that
Like an
people like to
advanced
play.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the elderly category.
Yeah, so we're moving on, but
No, it's okay, but I remember in high school, I took typing class.
right.
I went to a good high school and that was the extent of our tech.
We didn't have computers.
They didn't exist.
Yes,
That's
you're
what I
right.
said, we didn't have computers.
You're younger than me, but I didn't know it. The word computers didn't exist when I was in high school.
Right,
Well,
so
no, sorry, the big ones
Yeah,
probably were.
They were the size of a house.
yeah, so I'm
Right.
But
asking,
we didn't know it, we didn't see them.
right. So I'm just asking you to imagine like being like yourself in your high school, but anyone can take a picture of you at any time and everybody can see it in 5 seconds.
Right.
Forever.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
So, I'm Mitch. I'm the network admin, as we said earlier. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. It's just in the last 10 years has evolved tremendously. I'm going to go over some common cyber hygiene tips, and that's just kind of an industry term, just making sure that we are aware of what tools are out there to keep us safe online. The first thing I'm going to talk about, and I will always talk about, is multi-factor authentication, MFA. Some of you have probably already used it with work, or you've seen it when you go to log in to a bank. Maybe the bank is prompting you to, hey, make your account more secure, download this app to get this code, right? Just including a couple of screenshots of, what mine would look like. Of course, I redacted out some information. These are all my accounts here on the left. And as you can see, there is a scroll bar there. I have many, many more. And each one of those entries gives me a one-time passcode, or a timed one-time passcode, a TOTP.
So the system gives you a temporary password?
My phone does. Yeah.
To me, they're all systems.
You're right. And they can come in different forms. It can be a text message, it could be a phone call, it could be a code, or maybe a prompt on my phone that says, hey, enter the number 43. Okay, easy enough. The reason why we're talking about multi-factor authentication, and I'll go into this on my next slide, is passwords aren't as secure as they used to be. There is some conversations happening in the security world that doesn't even consider them a form of security anymore. That's been a conversation since about 2018. There is also this quote down here: something you know, something you have, and something you are. Something you know would be a password. Something you have could be a little device like a YubiKey. It's just a little thumb drive that I plug into my computer, and it asks me for a PIN code, and that authenticates me. So it's just kind of different kind of password, but they need this device. And then something you are would be like if I had a fingerprint scanner, biometrics, or if I wanted to be very advanced, a retina scan. Those are a little bit more uncommon, mostly it's fingerprint. This is the first, and I would consider best option for security today is MFA, particularly these apps. They're very easy to set up, and if you look up for MFA through like your bank account, they'll have something that will show you how to set that up. Or if you just call your bank, hey, do you guys have MFA for my account? I want to stay secure. That's just another layer of protection against unauthorized access. Password managers. I'm going to talk about this in the app form, the digital form. Some of you may already have a password manager in the form of a black little book or a notepad. I've seen plenty of those in my time. They tend to become very full very quickly, and what people will do is maybe I can't find the password today, I'll reset it and I'll make a new entry. Well, now when we're talking about trying to find the password next time, well, I found the first entry or the fifth entry or the seventh entry. So I'm constantly resetting the password and creating additional confusion to that process. What these apps do is I can enter them into an application. It stays there. That means I only have to remember one password to enter my password manager. And then I have access to all of those. The nice thing about that is it can also log you into those websites. So it's not even like I need to remember the password to M&T Bank anymore. I just go to M&T Bank, log in. As long as this is active, it will log me right into my account. Barring our previous slide, if I had MFA, it would still ask me for that. And these are the password managers that I have used in the past. The one I'm currently using is Dashlane, but LastPass and Bitwarden are all great options. I would say Dashlane and Bitwarden are better for the free side. They can also be used as your MFA app.
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the password managers that we would consider are called Dashlane.
Yep. These are the three brands that I have used in the past. Yep. I put some asterisks next to the bottom point. They can be used as your MFA, your multi-factor authentication. So rather than having two separate apps, it would be one. The caveat to that is it takes a little bit extra know-how to set that up. It's not too terribly difficult, but yes.
Question, could either you or Tim talk about how you could use that in context with a family, with partners, children, parents, how this could be helpful?
Absolutely. In most of these, there is a way to share access. So Netflix is a good example, even though they're cracking down on sharing, is, hey, I want my entire family to have the same Netflix account. You can just share that login to other people and it will just send them an invite. The tough thing about that is sometimes that feature is stuck behind a paywall. That can be a paywall, so you have to pay for the service of being able to share stuff like that. The nice thing is not to be, morbid about it, but the number of times that I have heard from clients in the past that have had the notebook of passwords, those go missing so quickly when somebody passes away. Somebody moves it, it gets put into a box, somebody throws it into their back seat, and it's months, if ever, somebody finds it again. If you have a password manager, typically you sign in with your email address and a password. If somebody in the family just has access to that, then they know what services they need to access to start canceling things or to notify. That makes things tremendously easy when it comes to that part. As somebody whose mother passed away 3 years ago, it was a very difficult time to, granted, that's not what I was concerned about right away. But it's another headache when people start calling, hey, you haven't paid your bill in 6 months. We're sending you to collection. Well, now I have to have that conversation with them and that whole rigmarole.
So are they going to need my death certificate to access that?
There's several different ways that they could do that. If you just had somebody in your family that knew the login to your Dashlane, just use that as an example, they could just log into it. Or you could go through the support option. Hey, my mother passed away. Here's the death certificate. I need to recover this account. There is an option for that as well. Passwords, like yes.
Did you say a little while ago, these were free or?
There are free options. Dashlane and Bitwarden are probably the two best free options.
What do they do with your information? If they're free, they're making money somehow, so they're using your private information.
No. So what from the best I can tell, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what information everybody's gathering at all times. From what I can tell is the information that they are gathering is for advertisements only. So when you sign into Facebook, they're going to see you have a Facebook URL, a website saved in one of your logins. We're just going to share, not that you've signed in, but that you do have a login for Facebook, not sharing username, not sharing passwords, but to further increase ad revenue. I've looked at these three extensively. I have not seen anything nefarious as far as credential harvesting. They're not gathering credentials to wipe your bank account out or anything like that.
They must spend a lot of money though on securing their. Good question. That takes a lot of money to.
Yeah,
Their
but
security has to be so
Yes.
good. I mean, there's so many people
Yeah.
trying to get in.
yeah, it's great. LastPass is one that I hear a little bit more often in the news. But it is not typically with that, it's not from a lack of trying on their part. It is, the world of security is that persistent. Um,
And also, I think, I've heard that these, sites do have paid versions, so they're making their money through the paid
Correct.
versions too. So you would be like, oh, I really like this. I'll sign up with a free version. I want the extra features. I will get the paid version. So then that's how they're making their money too.
yeah, they do have enough, revenue through the paid services that the free stuff is so lightweight for them that it doesn't, negatively affect their revenue.
What's the difference between the free and the paid?
The biggest reason why I pay for what I use is so that it syncs between my phone and all of my other devices. So it syncs the passwords, the logins from my phone or my computer to all of my other devices. So I don't have different passwords in different places. You can, I believe, on, I'm not sure about LastPass, but Bitwarden and Dashlane, up to 2 devices syncing. So they stay in sync at a time on the free version. But how many of us have a phone, a laptop, an iPad? Right. For me, it was more of a convenience purchase rather than a necessity. Like I was saying earlier, passwords are no longer considered reliable on their own. And if you've created a new password in the last, I don't know, decade or so, you'll see these security requirements. That's one uppercase character, one lowercase, a number, and a symbol. That's even that's kind of dated because it is not enough of a requirement. Today, security experts are asking for 13 plus characters in addition to those. Those 4 criteria can be part of the 13, but 13 characters is kind of a lot to remember off the top of my head. Which goes back to, I just let my password manager handle that. And phrases are much easier to remember than just a random password. So I'm going to just really quick.
Question, my
Absolutely.
computer I can save my password on my computer.
Okay.
So is that still a good thing?
You can. I typically,
I mean, unless my computer's being hacked.
right.
Well,
That's the thing.
Can you repeat the last thing you said there?
Unless my computer is being hacked. If
Right.
they hack into my computer, they can probably access my passwords.
So it's your
I have
password,
it
not
from my phone.
online remembering your password, like Google, Chrome.
Yeah, if you save your passwords in Google Chrome. So Chrome does encrypt the password file. However, so if somebody is in your computer, has the technical know-how to be in your computer, that is not enough protection for them to not get access to those passwords. I
The fingerprint as well. Okay.
But if you pass away, your fingerprint is not gonna be in
Right.
there.
Depends on the family.
Point.
Well, I
Yeah.
I lost a family member that did all this stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Password would not have, the fingerprint would not have helped make it into anything.
right.
So for the password managers that Mitch is talking about, the magical word is estate planning. If you search Bitwarden estate planning, one of the most foolproof ways, in my opinion, to do it is if you have a family member with a Bitwarden account, you can
With a-
with a Bitwarden account, you can have them, after you haven't logged in for 30 days or 90 days or whatever, your account can automatically transfer to them. You can also set them up to say, this is my kid. I approve them to fast track them of getting access to your Bitwarden account if someone happens to pass. So the apps themselves, if you just search the password manager plus estate planning, they have, all of them will have a very good detailed website of what they can offer you to make that process easier.
Thank you. He's remembering the questions I've already come and asked with that issue.
This is just a really quick tool. I included the URL in the slide. But it's a password strength tester. So there's a huge list out there of common passwords. Like the password. If we look at the bottom here, it takes less than a second to crack. It's barely even noticeable by a computer. Another common one is hello. Kitty. Actually, I think I even did that wrong because I capitalized it twice. Hello Kitty with a capital H takes less than 1 second. But if I delete the Y, it takes about 44 seconds. Why is that? It's because they're using what's called a dictionary attack. They are using full words to create their algorithms to crack these passwords. So the word hello and the word kitty, even though it is a character, it's a popular character, the fact that both of those whole words appear side by side is very easy to crack. Now, I said earlier, phrases are easier. So maybe my favorite movie is Silence of the Lambs. It's a lot of characters, and it takes 7 years for current computing power today. This password could change tomorrow, or the strength of that could change tomorrow if something changed in the technology world. But you notice that this doesn't have any of those special characters. They don't have any of the numbers. It just has one uppercase and a bunch of lowercase. Well, let's say I wanted to change the O in of to a 0. Doesn't change much there. And the S maybe to a $. Changes it to 11 years. And maybe now we're super excited about it and we add an exclamation at the end. Do you see how quickly that evolves? I'm still using a passphrase. It's my favorite movie. It's Silence of the Lambs. But I just have to remember it's a 0 instead of an O. It's a $sign instead of an S. And I'm excited about it. There's an exclamation point at the end. Yes, ma'am.
Recently, I had a problem with an ancestry,
Mhm.
not ancestry. And what is the one? Amazon. Yeah, I don't have a card. But I had a $1,500, $14.99.95 TV being sent to Arizona. And some $299 thing you stick in your ear was
Mhm.
going to Arkansas. And they put me through and said, this is M&T security.
Yeah.
They started asking questions, so I called the bank. And I had to change all my
Yeah.
information because so they couldn't get into my account. I didn't give them the information they were looking for. It was just red lights went off. And
So
it just didn't-
Amazon was warning you?
No, they were telling me they wanted money.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
wasn't actually been Amazon.
Right, it
Yeah.
was not them. And then they started
so it
asking,
wasn't really Amazon.
no.
And then if I understand, you got a phone call or some sort of message from M&T Bank.
No. They said, we're putting you through to M&T
Oh,
Bank.
gotcha.
And I'm talking to the guy, and this, I'll call you back. So I hung up and called the bank, and he was trying to call me back while I was talking to the bank.
Yeah.
So then I have 2 different banks, so I had to change information for both banks for the security
Yeah.
questions, the 3 pointers you had there.
Yeah, and I just wanna highlight the importance of what you just said is you hung up and called M&T Bank. Excellent. That's what I tell everybody to do, is if I receive a urgent, even especially borderline threatening phone call, and they say, hey, I need this information of you, I will not take it at face value, and I will call back. And I'm going to go into basically this a little bit later on in the presentation. But the number of times that I have seen videos of somebody's grandmother that, they've gotten a phone call, said, hey, grandma, I'm in jail. I need you to go to CVS and get me $6,000 of, Amazon gift cards to bail me out. What municipality will accept payment in Amazon gift cards? But nobody's thinking about that because they've attached to the emotional portion.
I get those for my grandkids. I don't have any grandkids.
Right. And the thing that is very hard to do once you've made that emotional connection is to hang up, and maybe I just call my grandson or their parents real fast and say, hey, so and so, are they in jail? What are you talking about? Of course they're not in jail, right? It's very, very difficult at that point. I do have some recommendations on that portion as well, as far as keeping family members safe and at least somewhat in the know on that here shortly. Fishing actually is right into it. Spelled with a PH, not the nice relaxing, I'm on a lake casting a rod fishing. Phishing is a technique to attempt to acquire sensitive information, to like logins, bank accounts, through a fraudulent method. Typically, you'll see it as an email or a text message. Sometimes you will get it as a phone call. How many of you have been on a website, not to bash, our news websites in the area, but WMUR constantly has a pop-up or an issue where people get a pop-up, call Microsoft right now, your computer is infected, and it's really loud and obnoxious.
I shut mine down.
Yeah. It's those types of things where they get you to call a number to, they try to scare you into, doing a certain action. And just to get some kind of information out of you. And not all the times is it to get your bank account. Sometimes they just want access to your email. Why? You know people. So they can use your email account to send it out to 1,000 other people, hundreds of thousands of other people. They have lists of people that you don't know that they just want to send emails to. You're in that case, you are kind of just like a stepping stone in the system. When they are trying to get information from you, that is called an act of social engineering. Social engineering would be like me calling somebody and saying, hey, I'm your grandson. Maybe I have enough information on you. I know I've seen you on Facebook. I know you live in Peterborough. And you've, been a part of, the gardening club in town, and say, hey, I need to collect some money for the, the dues for the gardening club or whatever. Small money is still money, right?
A few months ago, I had on a Facebook, I won tickets.
Yeah.
To see this really great band. So the guy was sending me information, or who knows?
Yeah.
A robot, a guy, a woman, whatever. And you need to send me this money to get those tickets. And I'm like, whoa. I knew it was not a free ticket.
Yep. Now, I know these photos are hard to see. I wouldn't worry about it too much right now because I'm going to go over them. I just really wanted to highlight the bottom of the dollar amounts. Mind you, I'm not saying either of these are good. In fact, I'm saying they're absolutely not. but predatory advertising. At my first job in IT, I worked with the general public, and most of those folks were of an older age, and they would come in and say, "Hey, I bought this computer off of QVC," and I said, "No, please don't tell me you did that." Not because QVC is necessarily a bad entity, that they're doing something malicious, it's that they don't typically have the best quality on there. So we look at this first computer. It's going to list all of the specifications of the computer. It probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you guys. It means a whole lot to me because I work in this industry. But looking at it, most of this stuff has less power than, an average smart fridge today.
Smart.
Refrigerator. And it's $415. This would be the most frustrating computer to work on, bar none. I throw computers away that have more power than this. Meanwhile, on AARP, the publication, we get the magazine. I don't get the magazine. My father gets the magazine. Had this listing, and I'm purposely keeping the brand names out of these systems. I don't want them to kind of be perused and somebody get talked into by a website. On the right here, it's $1,300. I know, because I work in the industry, that the specifications on this computer is no more than $200. And it's running a proprietary operating system, so it's not running Windows. It'll be something that you've never used before, and it's very limited. But it's only $1,300, guys. It's to keep you safe. Meanwhile, they're walking to the bank with a bag of cash. QVC and AARP, I'm not saying that they are negative entities. I'm saying that maybe their advertisers don't have the best intentions. So just because they appear in the magazine doesn't mean this must be a great product for me. It probably isn't. Especially at $1,300. There's a lot of money we could do with $1,300 that is not this. Financial scams. To build off of what I said earlier. 2025 FTC financial fraud statistics. From 2020 to 2024, the reported loss by fraud of older adults increased from 600 million in 2020 to 2.4 billion in 2020 to 2024, including investment scams, romance scams, impersonations, being the largest drivers with losses over 100 grand. When I first started in IT, 2016, these were around. It was not 100 grand. I would occasionally get somebody in, and they would say, "Mitch, I lost 8 grand. Here's what happened to me." And my advice is always to go to the police. First, go to your bank, go to the police. At that point, once money has been lost, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do at that point. Other than help you reset some passwords, right? Over the age of 80, reported higher median losses than adults.
Is that all
I'm wondering what.
often exceeding?
Yes, that is a typo. Often
Okay.
exceeding $1,600. So like I said, in the grand scheme of scams, $1,600 is small money to these guys. Because they can throw out a wide net. They have access to somebody's email address. They've already sent out 100,000 emails from that one account. Who knows how many other times they're doing this, right?
But now they don't wanna talk to you unless you have $1 million to invest.
Right. Well, I mean, you're never actually investing anything. You're just, they'll get what they can get, right?
No, but I mean, even investment people.
Right, right.
If you got $1 million, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, right. And this is always interesting. I've heard this for a few years now. Older adults report losing money at a lower rate than younger adults. So this isn't saying that, well, I'll get to that. They report losing money at a lower rate than younger adults, suggesting that older adults are more likely to avoid fraud, but have the results be more impactful. So they're losing money less often, but for greater amounts. Or that younger adults are more likely to recognize and report the issue when it occurs. The data doesn't really differentiate between the two just yet.
Meaning the risk is there no matter what age you are.
Correct. I get targeted regularly. And I just happen to work in this industry, so I get to have a little bit of fun with it, because I know the schemes. But even people in my industry, you know, hey, maybe I was up until 3 a.m. and they're calling at 7. I'm tired. I haven't had my coffee yet. It takes one dumb slip up for me, and now I have to call my bank. I have to get new credit cards. I have to get we all know what kind of nightmare that brings.
I apologize how many questions on that.
You're asking good questions, so they are.
Yeah.
You're probably saying things other people are thinking.
That's right.
Okay, well, it was my severe hearing loss. I don't trust anything I hear. A screen before approximately, you talked about the 80s and older.
Mhm.
The session title was elderly, and then there's the older. So,
Mhm.
so the older is 60, like I'm trying to understand where we fit, where I fit in these things, because obviously I'm not 80, but I'm 68. And then even though it says fraud reported by older adults, it's still hitting older adults.
Yes.
They're not reporting it.
So
I'm trying to understand, is the risk less because we're older?
no. So I will make
Okay.
the
Now I get it.
caveat that these are basically snippets from this URL listed at the top here. This is from the FTC's website.
I don't
So
know what the FTC, I'm embarrassed to admit, I don't know what FTC is.
the Trade Commission.
Oh, okay,
All
these acronyms.
I know, I hear you. I'm surrounded by them every day.
Okay,
Basically what it's saying is that people ages 60 and over what it's suggesting is that people 60 and older are targeted probably with the same amount of regularity as anybody else. But they are more susceptible to losing greater amounts of money.
Yeah, for example, I read an article about someone can figure out your age, right? And so they'll tailor the types of scams they're targeting based on the age, right? So it's really common for people to get scammed because like a kid getting scammed trying to buy a cute shirt and it comes in and it's really wrong. That's an example of fraud, but it costs them, $15 because high schoolers don't have $100,000. So older people with estates and with massive amounts of
Right.
property and investments and things like that are gonna be targeted for the bigger hits.
Yeah, and even the $1,600 with ages 80 and over, I don't know many people who are of that age that could absorb a $1,600 loss and be okay for the month.
Average social security checks are under 25,000 a year.
Right.
Right.
Mm.
Right. I'm not suggesting that every older person has money.
Yes.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they have a more complex financial web
Yeah.
than a kid who has allowance.
And they're not as technologically savvy as
Mhm.
these folks.
Right.
Oh, okay, so then, and this may not be at the right time in all this, but I am really frequently hearing from the younger adults about the importance of getting Venmo. And it would make the world easier supposedly for me and for them. But I'm trying to figure out how to say it without swearing. It scares me so much, since you already heard, when I went to high school, we learned how to type. To be able to
Venmo's,
go and take my phone and put it in front of this graphic, you don't know all these terms. Put it in front of this graphic and instantly I'm buying something.
right.
Is
So,
that the same kind of fraud?
You don't have that 2-day delay to see if you really want it.
so that raises an interesting point. Venmo is great for small local purchases where I am standing in front of a vendor or transferring money to a relative. It's very easy, but in the office, one person will buy lunch and then we will send money through Venmo because I don't carry cash on me. It's just much easier for me to transfer money that way.
Oh, yeah, they don't like me to write a check.
Yeah, right.
I still love checks.
I'll be completely honest, at 35, I don't know if I've ever written a check.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, my
Yeah.
daughters are.
I have.
Yeah.
There's someone here.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
Because it's linked to your account, right?
Yeah.
To your bank account?
The amount of security that has to surround, we're not just talking about PII, personally identifiable information. We are talking about, the acronym is escaping me, so the rest of what it means is escaping me. PCI is a probably personal credit card industry or something to that effect. Is so heavily protected in the United States.
Venmo.
Yeah, that apps that link to stuff like that are under a higher level of scrutiny.
PayPal as well?
PayPal is interesting.
Before you go to that, on Venmo,
Okay.
because I was thinking, I should I should open a new bank account. And that's where the Venmo goes, because I'm nervous about it going to my checking or my
No, I mean,
savings.
there's an option for that too, if you want an additional layer, but it does just create additional overhead and an additional management cost. What you're comfortable with.
No.
I wouldn't, right? Right,
I would get cash.
right,
Just go to the
I would
ATM
have-
and get cash.
yeah,
I would have
But
cash.
it's amazing, it's interesting when you're using the local shop, blah, blah. More and more
Right.
places are not taking cash, they're
Mhm.
absolutely not taking checks.
I hate to do this, but we're about like 10 more minutes, for this class, so come back next Tuesday, talk to Tim, talk to me, and we'll talk about Venmo and all those fun things.
This is my last slide other than questions. Financial monitoring. What I was all building up to was there's a couple of apps, Monarch, Quick and Simplify, and Rocket Money, all very reputable as you essentially link your bank account. It's not for purchases or to send money out. Mostly to set up budgets and spending limits, alerts. And that you can have someone you trust also receiving these alerts. So in my case, when my grandmother was alive, she probably spent $60 a week in groceries. If there was an alert on our account that she went to CVS and spent $800 in gift cards, I would get that alert right away and have a much better chance of stopping that transaction through the bank. Versus, oh, hey, we went back 6 months ago, Grandma, I saw $800 left your account, we never said anything. Then that's a whole process with the fraud department at the bank. And it could monitor multiple accounts at the same time. So I do actually have all of my credit cards in my monitoring app. And it tells me, hey, you spent $2,000 this month, bud. You said your budget was $1,400. What happened? Well, sometimes life happens, right? These are very good resources to use for yourself, just to maybe stay on top of a budget, but also to receive alerts in case something were to happen to one of your accounts, right? And I can come back to this slide after, but I'll put up. Do we have any questions?
I have a comment.
Mhm.
I had to get a new Medicare card because somebody from July to December of last year charged thousands and thousands of dollars on my Medicare. So Medicare alerted me.
Yeah.
But I didn't find out until June of this year.
Right.
Yeah, and it was literally $15,000.
Yeah.
And I don't know how people got in there,
Right.
just random numbers, whatever.
So medical expense for that much?
Yeah. On my account. And I said, I don't have that health issue.
Right.
But they just let it go through thousands of dollars a month. Every month.
Was it a mistake on Medicare's part or?
Don't know.
I don't know enough about that process to make a recommendation there.
But we don't find out for 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was about a year later because it started in July, ended in December,
Right.
supposedly. And then I find out in June.
Actually, you can hit end of record.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you all for coming.
Any other questions or comments?